I just like to say this and just get to the point. Like, the thing is that since I was a child, I've seen Iran chant out and shout "Death to America," burn our flags. And the thing is, I mean, we all want peace, but in my eyes, the Iran, they're very radical Muslims, and their claim to fame is, they're working furiously towards getting weapons of mass destruction. And as soon as they were up for it, they have plans, I believe, to use them on Israel and the U.S. to take our freedoms. And I believe, like I said, I don't like to hear about people getting hurt or killed, but there's, there has to be a decision made. I think that was the right decision and choice to protect our freedoms. They're big terrorist regime, and they hate the West, they hate America, they hate everything about us. They're extremists. This is how they think. There's no reasoning with these type of people. I know for a fact, look what happened 9/11. That was the start of things, but it's just their mindset.
Okay, but my
The
question would
thing,
be like, do you think we should be striking North Korea and Russia's nuclear facilities?
no, that's a little bit different because I don't think that Russia Russia and China are a little bit different. I think they're more sophisticated. I think places like Iran, especially in the Middle East, are more because they have religion behind them. They're radicalists. They don't care. They don't care about dying. They don't. They think. They think about. I mean, they're like kamikazes. They'll commit suicide themselves. We also have a lot of business interests with China. We're tied in with them. So I definitely don't believe. It's the same thing. It's different in different ways. Uh,
Like the Iran nuclear deal, with inspectors there, it was an attempt. Like a big thing we fear with when they said about WMDs, right, and going in because they can't have WMDs and these are religious fundamentalists and they hate America and all that kind of stuff. Same
right.
exact words to get into the Middle East before, and then we saw that when we toppled people like Saddam, that the stability of them, although they were bad, was better than if we had a regime change.
Right.
So like the concern is you can strike countries like this, but then there are still political factions in these countries. Okay, so there are Iranians who want to say like, well, the nuclear deal is good because we could have some relationships with the global economy, we could have economic interests that intertwine, and these reasonable leaders can be in place. But now in this situation, we're giving zero chance for that to grow at all. And this is a country of 90 million people. They are not going away, whether it's terrorism, whether it's other strikes, even if it's not nukes, whether it's economic attacks on our global oil production. They can still. It's going to become even worse in this country. My big fear is that first and foremost, getting into another endless war, because at that point you just need to be there. You need to be not really, maybe not occupying, but constantly bombing countries like that. The terrorism happening globally, they're a huge state sponsor of terrorism. A country of 90 million people, man, a country like an actual state, they're a country of 90 million people. That's a lot different from just like Al Qaeda or another like non-state actor.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, they're huge and have a huge influence. I understand that. I also know I don't have Middle Eastern background, but I know some of them, and I know there's a lot of people that would like to live different than what they're living now. And maybe if there's a chance for a better, more not as hard regime, it would be more stable and
Well,
it
you
would
see
be
like Saudi
different.
Arabia and like Abu
Hmm.
Dhabi and like
Hmm.
Dubai and all these huge
Yeah.
cities now. So like,
Right.
my thing is, I feel like in these countries we had leader. I mean, not in this situation exactly, but in some of these situations we might have leaders like that developing where they're going to be more pro-Western or at least pro just like
Sure.
international law and stuff like that, and we're
Sure.
ruining we're
Sure.
ruining the chance of that. I feel like, and when Trump says we're doing this to defend Israel tonight, he did not mention American interests once. He did not say once we are defending America. He said multiple times we are defending Israel and Israel alone. He talked about Netanyahu like he's a brother to him. So the fact that Trump did not mention America once, he just mentioned protecting Israel, is really interesting to me.
I mean, everybody knows that we have been tied in with Israel for a long time. You know, um, the thing is too is also like, you have all these people talking about Israel. I mean, nobody's perfect, but I mean, we're far from what other countries are in those places and what we do to people. We do help a lot of people. I mean, a lot of time we do pork nose and different things, and we do like to have the upper hand, but a lot of it's for, you know, our safety. People don't realize that. And it's just like you had all these other nations, I've seen the comments, they're hating Israel and this and that. Well, just not long ago, the Israelis were minding their own business. Here comes Hamas, people from Palestine. They just kidnap and kill 1,200 people. So they retaliated. What do you expect? So they can talk about the
That's really
matter of what Israel
complicated.
does.
That's really
Yeah,
complicated.
yeah.
Israel
I mean,
and Palestine, like
yeah,
that's a
it is.
huge long-term conflict. Israel has been doing like blockades of aid and blocking them from working in the international or in the global economy or in any economic sense. So Israel has done a lot of violence towards
Sure,
Palestine. It was
sure.
not random. But it was still definitely like the way Hamas targets civilians. They're a criminal terrorist organization. None of us like Hamas, obviously. Even people who are pro-Palestine. I think
Right.
like 1% of them will say they're pro-Hamas, but they're just being edgy teenagers because they're stupid. Okay, so like one big thing I like to bring up too, like we did have that IAEA, the International
Hmm.
Atomic Energy Agency, and they went
Right.
through Iran from 2015 to 2018 until Trump left the deal. And they said on the ground, which there's other ways to detect nuclear radiation, but the compliance that Iran was following was reducing the enriched uranium stockpile by 97%, enrichment
Right.
level capped at 3.67%, and then two-thirds of
Right.
centrifuges dismantled. There was a heavy water reactor disabled, and there was a 24/7 monitoring of all their nuclear facilities. And that was a way to avoid war and to make sure they're complying. And there was a big carrot and stick approach where we don't need to have a war and we can kind of hold them accountable. You can have access to the global economy. We will forgive, well, not even forgive, but we'll say that the things you did with sponsoring terrorism and all that kind of stuff, those sanctions, if you're
Right.
operating in good faith, those will be removed and we'll keep the inspectors there. And I was in favor of that. I don't like that Trump left that. And I just think the possibility for bad things now is increasing, and Trump it's technically it's a illegal strike because Congress did not approve it, and Trump ran on being like the pro peace candidate who would end all these endless wars, and now it seems like when Trump says we're gonna bring hell upon you if you retaliate at all, it's like they're gonna retaliate. Like any country's gonna retaliate. And whether it's economics, whether it's through cyber warfare. I mean, they're allies with Russia, and Russia's really good at that. I don't know if Russia would do that because they want Ukraine, and if Russia helps Iran right now, then Trump might not let Russia take Ukraine like they are. And yeah, there's a lot of different ways they might respond or militarily. So at that point, it seems like Trump is setting up that we're going to keep on going further and further into this.
I mean, I understand where you're coming from. You always want to take the fair route, but it's really difficult with certain types of cultures and people. And I think, I really think, I mean, America is very envied, and as the other nations become stronger in their military and they gain access to weapons, and you got the whole thing with bricks and stuff, and that's not a bad thing for them. I mean, like I says, they had to create things to deal with past sanctions and stuff like that. But it's not always. They don't. Sometimes they flex their muscles in a different way too. It's not always just for the benefit of sources and goods. And America is really in a tough spot. And I think he's just trying to do the best he can to really protect our freedom. It may not be the moves that all of us want, but to move in
It's
that
really hard
fashion.
too, because
It
I
is.
mean,
It is.
America in like Africa, America in the Middle East, we have done huge human atrocities. What we did in Guantanamo Bay, you could say that's a part of American culture, and you could say that's a part of our culture as well. We have shown a lot of,
True.
very
True.
terrible tendencies, and we see countries, we mentioned Saudi Arabia and these other countries wanting to be involved with the West more. Any religious fundamentalist country is going to treat women bad, and a lot of other people, obviously. So that seems like, I mean, that's a given with many countries. And
True.
one thing to consider, Iran, they're not the same, even if they're Muslim or it doesn't mean they're the
Hmm.
same as every Muslim everywhere or the same as Iraq or
Sure.
Afghanistan or those are very 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 different things. The
Sure.
political dynamics are different, and we already talked about the size and scope of it. And yeah, like the former agreements were a chance for us to have really good intel on every step of them developing weapons and stuff too. So if we needed to act militarily, we would have good evidence. But it seems like right now, on every report so far, says America found no intelligence at all to back up they were close to a weapon. But Israel did. But we're going off of Israel's intelligence. But I mean, for the past 30 something years, Israel has wanted to bomb the crap out of Iran, nonstop, which, like we said before, it can sound good, but regime change and toppling governments and doing this can result in much, much, much worse situations, as we know. So yeah, it's a lot of stuff to consider. But I mean, do you think Trump lied then in his campaign promise though when he said like he's the peace guy? I mean, Gaza got a lot worse, Ukraine got a lot worse. Now we are in another. I mean, we're basically in another
Yeah.
Middle East war. Like, do you
I
think he
don't think.
lied, or do you think like yeah?
No, I don't think he lied. I think he wants peace, but you know, sometimes you have to do what the landscape is, and like I said, things are always changing in the world, and there's so many different entities and different countries to deal with. So I mean, you might have intentions for this, but you have uprisings or rogue nations that are making threats or a threat to America and our freedom and our lives. You react and have to react to what you feel is best for our survival. And I think he did the right thing. And like I says, I'm not a heavy Trumper type of person, anything like that. I
Okay.
try to be in the middle. I'm not. I mean, most of my family were Democrats. I live in the South now. I was raised on the West Coast. 56 years old, and I started really looking at politics the last 5 years, real heavy. And I like to believe there's good things on both sides, and then there's things that are not so good. But the problem is when you have people that are way too far off on the right, far off on the left. So I try to function in the middle and look at the spectrum of things.
Yeah,
And
it's just hard too because obviously
mhm,
you could say that
mhm,
about George Bush or
mhm,
Obama and strikes they did, like, oh, they were trying to protect us and they had to do peace through strength, as Trump says. But I feel like
right,
through the everything we know about the negotiations, Trump pulled out of the deal. Trump was trying to assassinate the negotiators as he was doing the negotiations. It just seems like you could say someone reacts to things, and you could say like Israel reacted to October 7th, for example. But with America, it really seems like as president, you can guide the world in a direction too. And nothing huge and new broke out except like Biden told Netanyahu multiple times, and Biden I think was a pushover largely with Israel. But he told
mhm,
him multiple times we are not going to strike Iran. We will not strike Iran. But then Trump came in and removed every single limitation on Israel ever. And it seems like this is a largely Israel-driven mission. Especially because many of the pro-Israel politicians are very, very in favor of this, like Ted Cruz, and many of the pro-Qatar politicians are very anti this. So it seems like it seems like everyone's following along their ideological lines with this situation, but they love Trump and they need to kind of say everything Trump does is good, so they're not really having a true conversation in MAGA. I guess you could say like the Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk, Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz, like all those different people conflicting can
mhm,
be a
mhm,
story.
right.
But yeah, it seems like this is very Israel focused. And like I said, Trump said multiple times we were defending Israel. He never said anything about how this helps America, which you could argue that helping an ally helps an ally, and helping Israel defend themselves. That's why they say right to defend themselves. And yeah, Israel has a right to defend themselves, but I would say Israel does not have a right to bring us into a endless war. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Trump and U.S. military, you know, made their decision, and like I say, who's to say, how close Iran is to having those weapons? And we just heard recently Pakistan poke their nose in. They have nuclear. I don't know how good they are, but they were saying, they were in support of Iran. Russia was poking their nose and saying things. So I mean, we got the U.S. Even though everybody's looking on Israel, I mean, we're tied in with them. We have been, and Iran refers to us as like, you know, the large Satan and Israel's small Satan. I mean, they definitely have an agenda
Yeah,
toward this.
but we also, yeah, I'll just say, one thing, and I appreciate the call as well. Before I end on
Yeah,
this,
sure.
if you ever read the letter that Osama bin Laden wrote, like his manifesto as justification for 9/11,
Right,
you can see the propaganda tools that Osama bin Laden used to radicalize more people. With
right,
America's involvement in the Middle East, and I
right,
want to make sure we don't give their leaders more fuel to radicalize more people there to become
right,
terrorist cells, and so the area can never be fixed because we keep on bombing them. And if I was born in these areas, and you know, if you're born in these areas, even if you grew up and you have nothing but love in your heart, once you get enough bombs dropped on you, you don't know why. It's really easy to recruit young boys into these systems. So I want to make sure we keep that in mind, and we humanize them as much as possible. I think it's good to humanize even your
sure,
enemies, so we can make sure we
right,
can do because there is a way to beat people psychologically as well. And like reading what Osama bin Laden said, even killing Osama bin Laden, you can argue, and making him a big target made him into a martyr and made him into a rallying symbol for terrorists in the region as well. So yeah, definitely anyone who has the chance to check out the manifesto. Not that he was correct, but
right,
see what mistakes America can make that can empower our enemies to grow stronger. Because there's war, there's propaganda, there's a bunch of different things that conflict here. And we want to make sure we don't turn this into a full-on holy war. We can have nuanced conversations here on how to come out with a good
sure,
outcome. And
sure,
I know a lot of Muslims in America too, and like many of them are very they say like the thing where it's like Christian or practicing Christian, or they're like practicing isn't getting better, or like Jewish or kind of Jewish, or Muslim, they don't really practice. Like I know a lot of people that are very they can range from fundamentalist for any religion, or they could range from just like they identify as it, but they don't really believe any of it, and they're like pro gay people and
right,
stuff too. So I just
right.
try to make sure we have that in the conversation where we're not like saying every Muslim's the same or every person in the region the same and all that kind
I
of
know
stuff.
that part. Right. I believe the same thing. I mean, it's when people become radicalized. That's the problem, you know. But I'm going to say this: in my life in America, I had no brothers, and I grew up, you know, with a variety mixture of races, and I'm multicultural myself. And you know, I got family different levels of education levels. I'm blue collar, and I've seen a lot of ugliness, a lot of meanness with people. And there was times when I had to fight, and if I didn't turn around and make that move on my enemy, I wouldn't be here today. And sometimes you have to fight fire with fire against very evil people and entities. And if I wouldn't have done some of the things I would do, I wouldn't be standing here today. So you know, there's no reasoning with certain types of group of people. I mean, sometimes you have to use violence with, you know, you just have to. It's, you know, you don't want to be like that, but it's, you know, you live with people and people in positions that are psychopaths and sociopaths and big egos, and they're not always going to be fair like you. And it's part of your survival sometimes. So
Yeah, I got you.
keep that in mind.
Just like
Yeah.
all available public reports we have from like the nuclear stuff is full
Mm-hmm.
on compliance. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's hard to yeah. I just when I say like on my stream like Trump loves war, I just think he does
Right.
actions to make the world more chaotic. I've never seen him be a unifier or a peace loving person. He's always turned towards the gun or towards the bomb or towards turning them or sending the military in before ever trying to like simmer down conflicts. But hey, I appreciate the call. I hope to have you call in again sometime. Appreciate you watching, and I hope you have a great night, man.
Thank you. Nice talking with you.
All right, nice talking to you. Have a good one. There's a Pusha T line. There's a Pusha. You ever listen to Pusha T in the song "So Be It"? There's a line Pusha T had that was really hard, really erect. I'll take another call in a second. I just want to look up this line really quick. It's a really good freaking line, bro. Where's the song at? Dude, it's F around, F around and get your body traced. F around and get your body traced trying to test me. Cause people like that, people that I'm with like to draw when it's sketchy. F around and get your body traced trying to test me. Cause people that I'm with like to draw when it's sketchy. He says, get your body traced trying to test me. They like to draw when it's sketchy. It's really good. It's just a really good line. I just had to say. It's a really good line, dude. So be it. All right, I'll take another call. It's a good line, bro. Address the comments in the chat. Otherwise, why are we here? I'm sorry you want attention, Sherry, but I don't see a super chat. I pay attention to the green names and the people that watch often. Yeah, I'm looking at all you. Don't quote Pusha T. You're not on that level. Why can't I quote Pusha T, you dumbass? We have Pusha T and we have you in the comments. You're Pusha D, bro. You're pushing D all day, bro. You push D for a job to make a living, and I appreciate you for the work you do for pushing D.
Call from
Pushing D. Howdy.
Hey,
What's up?
so I, was been watching your live stream going on about Trump, and I don't understand. Like, America, to me, we always think that we're better than every other country, and a lot of times I'm like, why don't we just stay out of it? We're trying to force our agenda on everybody else instead of thinking like, hey, to them, you know, we're like they're number one, they're the better country. Like, it's just kind of frustrating, and it kind of makes me afraid. And many times I've debated on like being like, all right, I'm gonna move somewhere else.
It's a tough conversation with foreign policy. So like when it comes to defense, I'm not against helping our allies defend themselves. So something like Ukraine, but I am against going somewhere and saying like Vietnam or the Middle East and saying we're going to bring democracy here and try to make a puppet regime or try to prop up our own government and occupy a region of the world. That's very chaotic. So I'm in favor of defense. I'm not in favor of really stupid offense. And then I want to use diplomacy and economic tools, the carrot and the stick approach, to lead countries to a better situation, which does work in many regions as well. We brought up like Saudi Arabia and a couple other countries that kind of got more, Western friendly. But there's a lot of things to consider with foreign policy. I mean, I agree we shouldn't be entering new conflicts, but I'm definitely okay with things like foreign aid to extend influence, or helping allies defend themselves.
Absolutely. I mean, I definitely agree. Like, defending, like, especially like you said with Ukraine and stuff. But the fact that this was just kind of like out of the blue, like, I was honestly like I just happened to be scrolling through YouTube, and then I saw the newscast pop up, and I was like, oh wow, like, what in the world happened? So it was just kind of like, did we try everything? Like, I'm just honestly afraid of like the retaliation point. It's gonna piss off a lot of people, and I'd I'd hate to see another war break out.
Yeah, I mean, we're in a war right now, right? It's a full-fledged war, especially when Trump says we are 100% going to respond with any retaliation at all. They're setting up the grounds for that. And you can often tell what a country's domestic policy and foreign policy is going to be based off the other one. So, like, the way Trump is militarizing America, there's no reason to believe they would not militarize more globally as well, and enter more conflicts. So, yeah, I mean, Trump in America with the National Guard, with the military, Trump with Israel. We're entering. It only took 5 months, but we're entering a pretty crucial period where the public needs to turn away from what's happening right now pretty aggressively, and I don't think we're gonna really get that. But the longer we go down this Trump path without reversing course, the worse the eventual break's gonna be. If that makes sense, it's like it's ingraining. It's like a growth that just keeps on ingraining itself into you more and more and more, and the more that it grows into you is going to be more damaging when you take it out, obviously. So yeah, really not a comforting. It's not a comforting feeling at all, for sure.
No, absolutely, and I agree with you. I think we definitely he needs to like pump the brakes and kind of like take it easy. Ever since he's gotten in office, it's been like bam, 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 bam. And now, like, to me, all I'm thinking is like, okay, well, what's next?
Yep,
But,
it's fun. It's fun. It's fun. It's real
but
fun.
I appreciate you taking my call. Yeah, I'll keep watching though.
All right, thank you for the call. Keep your head up. It's only gonna get worse. It'll get better someday with the AI gods. They'll be nice to us. All right, have a good night.
Yeah.
Appreciate the
You too.
call. Thank you. They'll be nice to us. Jeff Bezos is gonna give us all the dividends, the UBI from the AI. We're gonna get UBIs, guys. It's definitely gonna happen that way. We're all gonna get UBIs. I mean, that's how all those sci-fi movies turn out, right? All the dystopian novels talk about how we get AI, and we all live perfect lives after that, bro. Go get gas, guys. If you have a gas tank, if you have a gas station near you, go fill up your damn gas, bro. Gas price is gonna go up 50 cents tomorrow. 50 cents. Howdy.
Appreciate you taking the call. Hey, listen,
Yeah.
I just wanted to discuss some things regarding what you just said about foreign policy, man. I mean, I kind of can't disagree with you more. It'd be one thing if this country was what it's supposed to be, what we're supposed to be about. We're supposed to take care of our own people. We're supposed to take care of our veterans. We're supposed to take care of so the homeless people don't really exist. Before all that's taken care of, and it's not a utopia, I understand that, but Ukraine was a big mistake. You talked about Vietnam. That would be a big mistake. That was a long time ago. The first Iraq War, the Gulf. These are all wasted funds, wasted people, wasted lives, wasted youth. So it's a sad situation because.
Well, I would disagree a lot with Ukraine. I would agree with a couple of the other ones, but not Ukraine. I think Ukraine.
Well, tell me why, though. I'd love to hear your opinion. I know we can't be on the phone forever, but I'd love to hear a little bit what your disagreement on the Ukraine thing would be.
I think Ukraine is morally correct. I think it's good for humanitarian reasons. I think it's good for strategic reasons. It's good for our military that's getting intel from Ukrainian missile defense, and Ukrainian civilians and soldiers are helping a lot with intel sharing from Ukraine to benefit America. So I'm talking like a purely American perspective, because people talk about the money we sent them, which honestly, I'm okay with it. It's like a couple of large pizzas per year for every American, which I'm kind of fine with. And Russia, the chance to weaken Russia, which is helped by China and Chinese intelligence and Chinese technology and Iran. Iran helps Russia. I'm pretty sure Iranian drones were used in Ukraine. And North Korea. So we have a chance to weaken one of our biggest adversaries, which puts bounties on American troops. We have a chance to support humanitarian efforts for Ukraine, which I think is a good moral thing. We have a chance to help protect Europe. Europe wants to protect Ukraine. They're a big buffer between Russia and heading up against NATO's borders. I think it's good for a multitude of reasons. No American soldiers were officially deployed to Ukraine. Ukrainians just wanted support to defend themselves. And at first, I could see being worried about corruption, but after a certain amount of time, we were able to verify they were using the aid in the proper way. So that's why I'd be in favor of helping Ukraine defend themselves. But I'd be against saying we're gonna bring you democracy. I don't want to bring democracy. I want to protect democracies if we can.
Yeah, I think people forget, and I appreciate you sharing that. There's some things there that I could agree with. There's a few that I don't quite know we can say that based on, what you said about things being verified. I'm not really sure who's verifying it, and I'm not sure who's checking behind the verifiers, if that makes sense. But I can say this. Officially, no, there were no U.S. soldiers there, but unofficially, there was many. And,
volunteer, right?
Sure. But and those guys, let's be honest, they love it. That's why they're there. They want to be there. They want to get paid. They love that war mentality.
Well, they see it as a big global thing, right? Against Russia and for freedom, because Russia, that was a big thing, a huge thing, Russia and Soviet Union.
Well, let me ask you
America,
that. I don't mean to interrupt you. I know this is your show. When people say Russia, right? I understand why they say that, and I understand why it's easy to say that. But to counteract that, when you talk about foreign aid and foreign policy, if we were taking care of the things at home, like I kind of spoke with to begin with, then we wouldn't really have to meddle in and get involved with the foreign policy, because guess what? Most likely Iran wouldn't have co-signed with Russia. China may not have co-signed with Russia. We basically made that happen from making the stance and the moves that we made in the Biden, the Obama, and the Trump administration. So that's like saying, Bloods
Obama,
and Crips.
Biden and Trump.
Yeah, all three of them. If you know about Ukraine, you should know about Obama.
So, no, I'm just saying, so with those three countries, I just feel like they would always come together against their common enemy, being the U.S. Because if they destroy the U.S. globally, then they could each have their own like their own spheres of influence. Like Russia can have they want their former Soviet Union. China can have Southeast or Southwest Southeast Asia. They want to capture Taiwan eventually. Then Europe can like try to survive as like a free secular area, and then like Iran and Qatar and all these countries can have the Middle East. So it's just like it's interesting. Yeah.
Sure, but let me say something though. You're not wrong, but I think we're misguided. Why do we care what China does with Taiwan? Well, I can tell you mainly why, because we rely on them for our chips. If we didn't rely on people for things, if we took care of our own homeland, if we took care of the pharmaceuticals that everybody wants to bow down to, which China basically runs, we wouldn't have to rely on them. Look at all the PPE that was going
there's
crazy.
Other reasons too, right? It's like if someone violates, if you say like, why should someone not speed? You could say, well, we don't want them to speed because they put people in danger. But also, if people are allowed to speed, then the laws don't matter anymore. If no laws matter, then anyone could do anything. Then society falls apart. You could say the same with international order. If you could just go and take sovereign nations, like Russia wants to do with Ukraine.
Not necessarily, because there's always consequences through action. So you can have a autobahn down the road from here, and if you screw up or if you crash or you kill somebody, that's on you, right?
Yeah, but
so there's always limits
to. Yeah, sorry.
No, I don't mean to interrupt you, man. This is a good discussion, and there's a lot of things that you're accurate on, and again, this is opinionated, so your opinion is different than mine. That's totally fine.
But with Ukraine, just really quick with Ukraine though, you said consequences. One of the big reasons you want to support Ukraine is because there's consequences. So like if Russia can invade Ukraine and get all this territory without any consequences, then they can just learn like, okay, this is a big like test run.
But how does that affect us? How does that affect the U.S. though?
Because if the globe can, if international order and things like NATO fall apart, then we have no order. You have a much higher chance for global fracturing and world wars. And that always comes back to America, whether it's economically, whether it's militarily. We are not going to be safe from a world that's dominated by Russia or China. And like I said, like these countries put bounties on U.S. soldier heads. They do cyber attacks constantly. China spies on us like crazy. We need to be strategic, and we need to have Europe strong. We need to have Canada and Mexico strong. We have to all be together to fight the rising China and all these countries, because they're going to come together against us. And I don't like how like Trump, for example, is bashing Europe 24/7 while he's giving compliments to Putin. He's complimenting Putin every single day now. Like he's like unironically he's talking about him every day like he's his boyfriend. So it's been a little bit bad. Yeah. For those purposes.
Well, why do you think the Russia thing is so big, let's say post-Soviet war? And in my opinion, it's because they basically said "F you" to the banking cartels, and they have basically said we're not gonna bow down to that, which in turn means the U.S. dollar, right? So that's why you have BRICS. That's why you have Brazil. That's why you have Russia, India. All these people have. Well, I don't know about Brazil. I think Brazil has nukes, but India definitely does. Russia definitely does. So like. There's an allegiance being made because of the moves that we have made and haven't made, right? So that's what I mean by foreign policy. What you're saying is not correct, maybe, but the accuracy of what you're saying could be viewed and skewed because, again, there's always a consequence to or a reaction to what you do, and so also in this term, what you don't do. And if you look at the past administrations, not including just Trump, everybody I name, even Bush. But Obama really, really pushed that whole Ukraine thing hard. And people don't really know about that because we didn't hear a lot about it. But if you go back and look at the history, Biden was his vice president. Then when Biden was, supposedly the president or whatever, when he did all his things, it was just Trump. I'll be honest with you, man. I voted for Trump. I'm not happy. I feel misled. I feel lied to. I feel hoodwinked, if you want to call it that. The other option was not palatable for me. But again, I'm not happy. Like if he doesn't realize he's going to lose his base, which to him it doesn't matter, he can't be reelected anyways.
But one of the big criticisms I hear from Obama is he did not get involved in Ukraine directly. It was all diplomatic, and I mean Trump makes fun of Obama for not helping defend Crimea or whatever. So like there's a bunch of different things to consider there. But like when we talk about like foreign powers and everything, and like what America does with foreign wars and anything bad America does, I always just say like every global power in these positions is going to do really bad things, and we want to limit those bad things. But if China and Russia had that influence, they'd be doing much worse bad things. Although we do terrible, horrific things, humans have done that for a long time, and we want to stop that. Which is why, I mean, I know Trumpers who are very happy we're turning away from Europe and towards Russia and Hungary and El Salvador. Like we're turning towards dictatorships, and Trump hates democratic, free societies. And you could say a bunch about that. And like Taiwan, even like I think there is a sense of, at least for Americans, you can have whatever theories about like leadership. But for people who want global freedom, dictatorships are rising globally, and we want to support countries like Taiwan, because Taiwan, their freedom, it's a very free country. It's one of the most, it's probably the most free country in Southeast Asia. So like, countries like that, we want to help protect. Australia, we want to help protect all these free countries that share our interests, because we want more of that. We want more of the good things, obviously. So like, it is a delicate balance, and I just, in my opinion, okay, for all of the things we're discussing right now, I think Trump is the worst scenario for. I just think Trump is the worst scenario for every single variable. There's not one thing. He's making diplomacy worse. He's destabilizing now with military conflict. He is just following whatever Israel tells him to do, or whatever Russia tells him to do. And like, he literally woke up on his birthday.
Israel. I don't
the
think
first
it's
thing,
Russia. I think
the first,
Israel.
Yeah, because Russia, it's complicated with Russia, but like, it's weird to me that he called Netanyahu basically a brother tonight. They work so well together. And then, like, on Trump's birthday, the first thing he said is that Putin called him to wish him happy birthday. And I'm like, well, it's just weird. It's just, and there's Russian spies in the White House.
Force though, right? Like, if you had an adversary, imagine who your worst adversary is, whether it's real or not. And you came out and said, hey, just so you know, my so-called adversary, he called me today and wished me happy birthday. Or he called me after this live today and said,
but
hey,
it's
man,
like love, though, dude. No, okay,
well,
Trump, but you understand, Trump has been threatening sanctions on Russia as they torture and bomb Ukrainian civilians nonstop. Trump has said multiple times he's going to do sanctions. He said, Vladimir, no, please stop. He said, Putin's changing. Putin's not the person I remember. He's talking like a scorned ex. And now MAGA is preventing our Congress from voting on sanctions to give Russia. So that would make sense if Trump was actually doing anything, but Trump is giving Putin whatever he wants in Ukraine and repeating Putin's propaganda and refusing to even do economic sanctions at all. So it's just like, he talks constantly about bringing Russia back into the global economy as well, and how we need to help Russia become reintegrated. He went to the G7, and the first thing he said was, Russia should still be here. They should be the G8. The first thing he said, he sounds like a cuck. He really does sound like a cuck, dude.
No. But would you not agree if we did have a better, and I know the variances of better can be determined, over time, and it's not going to be overnight, but if we had a better relationship with a country like Russia, I don't really like China. That's never going to change.
Should we have a better relationship with Iran?
Should we, or can we?
Yeah, should we congratulate Iran and talk about them on our birthdays?
What would we be congratulating them on? I mean, do you think that they actually have nuclear capabilities? Because I don't.
No, I'm just saying. I'm gonna be a liberal for a second, and I'm gonna say people view Russia differently from Iran because they're not brown Muslims. Because Russia is just as, if not more, violent than Iran, and I don't think anyone would say we should be closer to Iran and welcome them into the G7 or G8 or whatever.
I think Russia's more capable of being violent. I think that's the better term in my opinion.
But Russia sponsors a lot of the stuff Iran does is from Russia's guidance. Like they work together on this stuff.
Well, if we had a better relationship with them and we didn't side with Israel and obviously Saudi Arabia, I think we could have a better relationship. But we decided not to do that. So who's left to do that? Russia, China.
The only thing I'm saying is no one would ever say, should we have a better relationship with Iran right now? And I just think like Russia, you don't say when a country says we're going to put bounties on your head, you don't say let's go have dinner and welcome you back into the global economy. You put sanctions on them. You're America. You tell them what the hell is up. Like, I don't know why Trump talks like America is this little weenie country that can't do anything to him. And the standard, when I talked about standards, if Russia can successfully take 40% of Ukraine and make it Russian, and make it a part of Russia somehow, then that gives a full 100% ability and I guess you could say permission for China to go and take Taiwan. And when we say you shouldn't do that, you can't do that, we never push back sufficiently against Ukraine or against Russia taking Ukraine. So we have no standing at that point. It just dissolves all international law, and then the system of consequences of enforcing that law, of reinforcing why we need these laws, completely falls apart. So that's a lot of stuff. I'm gonna let you end on a topic because we're all over the place at this point, and my brain's getting a little tired for how. No.
I don't mean to. I apologize for going all over the place.
I know you're good. No, foreign policy is a very tough conversation. That's why it's hard to even talk about it. Even experts, like, it's a very nuanced and long, detailed conversation. So, I mean, when we talk about it, it's going to be at a very surface level, political level. how America views it and what the best actions are in American politics typically. So
I just like to get away from our ties with Israel. I'm hoping the youth is paying attention. I'm hoping we're watching what's going on. My generation, I'm almost 40, so we're seen as the old heads now, which is kind of weird. But we got to get away from that relationship as fast as we can because they are not our ally. They're not our greatest ally. You talked about China spying on us. There's no question they spy on us. But who really is the one spying on us and taking stuff? I mean, look who has a nuclear program they want to say that Iran has. It's funny, if they looked in the mirror, it would be them who has the secret nuclear program.
well, I would just say that you should be voting for President AOC then.
Well, I don't like AOC at all, but that's my biggest problem with Trump was his relationship.
I'm just saying, AOC, you gotta vote for AOC to fix it. Just saying.
Well, I don't know about that. Again, I'm not against a female president by no means, but we need the right one. We need one that's going to be strong. We need one that's going to be fair, firm. And I don't know enough about her, but the stuff I do know.
Hey man, raising taxes on the wealthy, helping Americans, get off the street into homes, helping Americans have healthcare systems that can compete with Europe, so we're not dying we die 8 years younger than Europe, and she wants to bring that healthcare system to America. And I'm not saying she's my number one pick, but I think these politicians that the Democratic Party. The people they kick to the side, like Bernie and AOC, they are genuine about wanting to do things like taxing the ultra wealthy, BlackRock types, Elon Musk, AI gods who think they want to make a surveillance state over America, the Palantir gods that Trump is giving all these defense contracts. Trump is making Palantir officials lieutenant colonels in the army. By the way, just so you know,
you think he's compromised through Israel intelligence?
He's compromised through every country's intelligence, man. He's been Donald Trump was he was never successful in business. He had to finance everything. His dad had to bail him out. He's probably his finances tied up with Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, Qatar. He has ties in all those different countries. I mean, Pam Bondi was a foreign agent for Qatar, a literal licensed foreign agent from Qatar. So Trump is. The reason Trump is so erratic is probably because he's going off of Putin and Netanyahu and then American conservatives and all these different people, Laura Loomer, these are all representing different interests. And it's funny hearing Tucker Tucker Carlson talking to Ted Cruz. Tucker is paid by Russia and Qatar. Ted Cruz is paid by, if you want to say, AIPAC and Israel. Now, I don't think that matters as much. I think Ted Cruz is just a crazy fundamentalist. I don't think AIPAC has that much influence. I think it really is America. Is just the Christian nationalism in Europe, in America, just aligns really good with what Israel wants. The foreign policy goals are the same for the neocons and Israel. And, the evangelicals have that thing where the Jewish people need to be in Israel for the end times to come. So I think Ted Cruz is just kind of crazy. But it's funny because you have Israel influencing it, you have Russia, you have Qatar, you have China in the room, you have all these foreign countries talking through different talking heads in America, and they're all accusing each other of being paid off by foreign countries. It's like the Spider-Man meme. It's just constant. It's just I don't know. That's one thing I can say about some of these other politicians. A lot of them are not paid off by any foreign countries at least. So.
Yeah, no, well said. I mean, I would agree. I think, when you said AOC, I think the problem with that would be, or anybody like her would be, the face may change, so to speak, the puppet may change, but the puppet masters are the same, right? That's the problem. So, I don't know if a third party option or fourth party even would change that. It may not change that outcome, but it's sad that here in America, in this, you call it democracy, I call it a republic, but we'll agree to disagree on that. But regardless, how do we have more options?
It's both
on a menu at McDonald's than you do, voting for the country.
Well, it's a combination of a democracy and a republic. It's like we're in the medium version. It's a compromised government.
Sure,
that's our founding fathers. How our founding fathers made it, and it still is a type of democracy. But but AOC, I would say for people like her, and you could even say Thomas Massey, by the way, for Republicans.
I like Thomas Massey.
They get
I think he's leading the way.
I think it should be a standard. For me, if I have a candidate who gets $0 from funders and corporate donators, and they get all small dollar donations, it's a pretty good filtering criteria for someone who's because then their only donors the people, right? The people that donate to them, and the American people. Yeah. So if they have to self-fund, if they have to talk to people and actually meet people to get small dollar donations, like AOC does, like Bernie Sanders does, I think they will care more about everybody's issues. And I don't think it's by chance that Thomas Massey is the most principled Republican in the Congress. And also, I don't think it's by chance that Trump wants him to be primaried and kicked out of Congress as soon as possible, which is hilarious.
Absolutely.
It's the one Republican with Well, you're gonna
Yeah,
think
we
it
know why
should.
that is. Let me ask you one last thing, because I know we've been on talking for a while, but and I don't mean to make this longer. Do you agree or disagree? It should be at least that APAC should be registered with FARA.
Oh, that's a really hard one for me. I don't know enough about how PACs typically operate. So, like, if it's Americans donating to a PAC, so like evangelical Christians, and then also maybe dual citizens who donate to it,
Yeah.
you'd have to prove coordination between the government and the PAC. It's not enough to say that they are aligned, because you could be aligned with a government and still not be working together. You could have all the same opinions, and you could say that's why like Ted Cruz said to Tucker, you could donate to the NRA just because you believe in guns, but it doesn't mean you're bought by the NRA. You could just believe in guns and still support the same things. So I would say that is the much bigger concern for me for APAC, okay, because there's bigger donors than APAC, much bigger, and they donate to other PACs. Like Marianne Adelson is another, like, she's on behalf of Israel,
Yeah,
bought
well,
off
she's a
Trump as
part of
well.
APAC, isn't she?
Yeah,
I
I'm
mean,
sure
if she's
she. I'm
not,
sure
she
she is in
is,
some
but
some.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Trump probably has the highest APAC donations in American history, but that's more so that he's a
Yeah.
useful idiot for them. I don't think it's just because he's bought off. I think it's also because his base, the Judeo-Christian Zionism thing. And I only
Mhm.
use the word Zionism in very specific context because I just consider that to be like Israeli nationalism. So like Christian nationalism is probably the American form of nationalism, but the Judeo-Christian fervor in America got us into the Middle East as well in the early 2000s. George Bush used the religion as justification for that. So like in the same way, like we operate in the same way they operate as Islamic states. We are operating as a Christian nationalist state in America right now. And we are introducing, like, we're engaging in the modern holy wars. We are not much different. Although, like one of my callers tonight said, people in the Middle East are extremely different from us. Like, no, it really does depend on a lot of different factors. That went off your point about APAC, but I try to steer away from that as much as
I mean, you
possible.
try. I mean, like I said, I'm not trying to push you in a corner, but in my opinion, they should be registered. In my opinion, and this is my opinion, I want to make sure this is not your opinion, it's not your show's opinion. In my opinion, that was the big instigator of why, you could say our last real president, JFK, was shot in the head, in my opinion, because he was forcing them to register. He was pushing them to be registered. He was pushing them to be inspected with this nuclear program that we talked about a few minutes ago that has still not really been inspected since then. So you could say there's other parties and factors involved, and there probably were. But who was really pushing that? Who really made that happen? Who invited him down to Dallas? If you do the research on that, it'd be interesting to see that. It's a very interesting rabbit hole if you want to do it. And it's been that way since then. And then if you look at 9/11, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole with you now. But
Okay, that's hey, by the way, if you're gonna be pushing these theories, you wanna stay to the ones that are more believable. The 9/11 one is really not believable at all.
why do you think that one's so not believable? If I know we don't have time to talk about this, but when you say that, I just wanted to hear your opinion. It's not
I
about
am
making
not.
mine
I
right or
already
wrong.
no. Okay, so I am sleepy. I'm not commenting on theories that I might consider to be conspiracy theories right now. I'll just say the information I saw does not align with that at all. The only people I've seen say that I do not trust as reliable sources, and all the things they use are just like, a lot of it is just like pure anti-Semitic tropes, and like there's not a lot
Okay.
to. Yeah, I mean, for
Well,
especially
at least
for the 9/11
foreknowledge,
one.
though, you can't argue that. I don't think. Yeah,
The what knowledge?
foreknowledge, like knowing it was going to happen before it happened.
No, I don't. Yeah, I have not seen any evidence of
Okay.
anything.
Well, let me tell
You have
you,
to pick
because
and
I
choose
got
the ones
family
that
members.
that sound better.
Yeah, I got family.
Maybe you were behind it. You did it. You warned them. China. I think China. I mean, China's the one that benefited the most. If we're being real, every any destabilization, China's gonna take advantage of and grow off of. I'm just being kind of whatever. Okay, I appreciate the call. I'm gonna. All right, have a go. He's getting a little bit too into the conspiracy theories. I know he's muted. I know he was muted. See, it's hard. I can't go through those. It's hard fighting it's hard fighting white nationalist, Christian nationalism, anti-Semitism, and Islamophobia at the same time. All right, it's not an easy fight to win. I can't respond to everything. Oh, hey, dummy. Oh, okay, I think I'm done. Well, I also don't want the conspiracy theories spread if I have no response for them, because I don't know any of them. I don't know the responses for them. I mean, I know enough people that work in intelligence and who work in positions of political power and stuff that, I mean, I would know if there were crazy things around those events, or at least, like, you know, better than an internet forum would. There comes a point where conspiracies are too hard to hide about a lot of things. And you have to err on the side of, well, it probably would have came out if there was something that big. It's like the JFK files they wanted to release. Like, they never found anything in any of those, like, ever. So it's a little bit hard. Join Discord. I'm gonna hop in Discord for a little bit and hang out. Thank you for watching. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for all my callers tonight. Thank you for any new viewers as well. Please drop a like, comment, subscribe, whether you agree, disagree, or whatever. Agree, disagree, or whatever. Yeah, you can join Discord. We have a voice chat going on in there. We have like 5 people in there right now. Last night we had like 20 people in one VC. That was a little bit too many people. But yeah, we're gonna hop in Discord for a little bit. Thank you guys for watching. Oh yeah, I will not be on tomorrow night. I'll be back Monday night. All right, guys. I'll be back Monday night. If you want to support the stream, support me doing this, want me to get on here more, please drop a donation to Jolah Politics. Oh wait, someone just did. MP, thank you, MP. MP, thank you for $5. Thank you, MP. Thank you. But yeah, Jolah Politics on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Okay, Jolah Politics on PayPal, Cash App, or Venmo. Kamlo is right about everything. Thank you, TikToker. I forgot I had TikTok on too while doing this. Nice. Nice. All right, guys. See you Monday. Have a good night. Thank you guys. Thank you, members. Thank you, everyone. You know, when they say TDS, like Trump derangement syndrome, do you know that there's one thing way worse than Trump derangement syndrome? You know that? Do you know what's a worse form of TDS? Does anyone in chat know what the worst form of TDS is? What is the worst form of TDS other than Trump derangement syndrome? What is the worst version of it? What is worse? What is the bad version of it? Do you guys know what the TDS is that Trump supporters have? It's called TDS. Is called Trump dick sucking. Okay, they Trump dick suck. So that's the TDS you could tell them that they have. Okay, you have TDS. Yeah, you have TDS too. You Trump dick sucker. Okay, guys, have a good night. See you guys Tuesday or Monday. See you guys Monday night. See you guys Monday night. Happy war with your on day. Happy war with your on day, guys. Happy war with your on day. All right, have a good night. See